So in this video, I want to talk about 3 pros and 3 cons of raising a kid in Hawaii. And let me just first off say that I don't have experience raising a kid yet, but we are expecting our first child pretty soon. And these are the things that I'm thinking about. So this isn't like I raised a kid back in the 1990s, because frankly, that's not really relevant today because things have changed so much, especially moving forward. But these are things that I'm thinking about now and will probably be changing in the future as I'm raising our kid in Hawaii. But I just want to share some of the things that I'm thinking about as a first-time parent, someone who's grown up here in Hawaii, but now is going to try to grow up and raise up a child of my own here, and just some things that I'm thinking about. The first pro, and definitely the one that probably could take over the entire list of the pros, is the family. Family in Hawaii is super important. I was raised in a very close family, and I think if you ask anyone who grew up in Hawaii, they'll tell you that family is one of the most important things, if not the most important thing here for local people. Having family to help raise our child, I think that's going to be crucial, and I think it's one of the biggest advantages that local people have when put up against their out-of-state peers, is that their family has to fly in. And I've seen this with a lot of my peers. You know, if they have a child, their family has to come in from the mainland, if they're from the mainland, and then they can only stay for a little while and then they have to go back. Being a person who grew up here, my family is pretty much all here in Hawaii, and I think that's a really big deal, because I can tell you the number of people who rely on grandmas and grandpas and aunties and uncles, and not just biological but also Hanai and extended family, to help watch their kid, because people have to work. People are so busy that having that family here is crucial. The second pro is the exposure to different cultures and people that you will not get anywhere else, probably in the world, because you live in Hawaii. You know, Hawaii is super diverse. We have all kinds of people who live here, who are moving here all the time from different places. And because of that, yeah, you get some rubbing people the wrong way, you get some friction, but it's a melting pot, and we try to make do with what we can with all these different people trying to make a life here in Hawaii. And I think that's for the better, because you get to be exposed to different ideas, different cultures, different people, different foods, if you love the different foods. And so our child's gonna be exposed to all of those things, which I think is a good thing. And the last pro, which I'm not sure exactly how this is gonna play out, but it's about weather. And I never thought about weather before, because, you know, it's fine, you know, it rains, it's sunny, it's no big deal, right? Hawaii is always like 80 degrees or 85 degrees, and then, you know, it drops to maybe like the 70s with some rain. So not too much variation here in Hawaii. But I know in other places, the weather can go up and down, and it can be tough, not just on your commute, transportation, but also on raising a kid. So I think it'll be great to have warm weather in raising a child. Not too cold, so we don't have to have jackets and all those other things. Also, not too hot where we gotta use AC and we just can't go outside all the time. What's good about that is it also promotes things like going outside and being outdoors. So going to the beach, going hiking, just doing physical activities, I think will be a very beneficial thing for our kid, because Hawaii, it just generally all year round, it's gonna be really nice. All right, let's talk about some of the cons, and these are some of the things that I am thinking about already. Of course, the first thing is gonna be cost. Everything is expensive, not just food, but just everything you have to deal with when raising a child. I think it's just gonna be expensive, but so is life here, and you know, that's okay. We prepared for this, and I think we'll be okay. But I am thinking about things like preschool, things like childcare, and even if private school, is that even going to be a thing? I don't know, but I know there's a lot of costs that people think about that are related to raising a kid in Hawaii, and those costs are very expensive. The second concern I have is education. I really believe in public education. I graduated from public school, so I went through that system. I think it was okay, it was good, and I tried to do my best. I know my parents did their best to reinforce everything that I learned. So I thought that public school it was a good experience for me. I know that people nowadays may think differently. They may just think, oh, private school is the only way to go. Or if you say, oh yeah, we're sending our kids to public school, they'll go, why would you do that to them? And completely understand. People have certain attitudes towards public school or private school, but it's something that I do think about, the quality of the education moving forward, not just how much we're spending on students, but also the quality of the teachers. Because we have such a high turnover rate with teachers, it does make me a little bit more concerned about the steadfastness or the consistency of education across the board. If you're having new teachers come in every 3 to 5 years and people are quitting and you bring new teachers in, you're gonna have a lot of young teachers, which is nice because they can keep up with the kids, but you're not gonna have like that passed on history. And as more and more of these older teachers start to retire, I'm thinking about when our child gets to be, school grade level age, how many more of these older teachers are going to be left? The ones who are in their 60s right now, probably in about 10 years, they're going to be retiring, or sooner probably. So I do think about those types of things, all that institutional knowledge that's going to be lost. Where is it going to go? And I hope that the teachers that continue to teach in public education continue, because without them, we're just going to have this sort of big revolving door, big turnover rate here, and it's going to be really tough to teach our kids. For some people, private school is the way to go. They think that that's going to overcome everything, and they want to invest in their kids' education. And you can't really argue with that. That's a great thing to invest in, your kids' education. Unfortunately, it's not reachable for a lot of people. Private schools, some of them, it's more expensive than the University of Hawaii. Talking $20,000, $25,000 a year for a kid K through 12. That's a lot of investment. So if not, what other things can I do, or what things can we do to make sure that our child is well educated, well rounded, not just inside the classroom but also outside the classroom? And those are things that I'm thinking about right now. And the last reason is limited opportunities. And this is very abstract, this is a lot of future projection, but I feel like Hawaii has limited opportunities, especially for the future. So not just talking about jobs and job prospects and what you can actually do here in the future, what types of industries are viable to make a good living here, but there's livability. And thinking about that, if we raise our child here in Hawaii, the chances of our kid actually being able to live here in Hawaii in the future seem pretty low. And in a way that's kind of discouraging. You want your kid or kids to live with you, in the same area. But if we choose to live here and our kid can't make it, they're gonna have to go to the mainland or somewhere else in the world, which is fine, because my parents told me the same thing. They said, if you want, you can go live on the mainland. No big deal. Come back home and visit anytime you want. And I did live on the mainland for a while, and it was nice. But eventually I moved back home to Hawaii, and now I'm here. I just think that for any kids moving forward, next generations, it's going to be so difficult for them to be able to make it here in Hawaii. And I think about how no matter what I do, that is going to be really tough, because that's an economy thing, that's a social thing. Those are things that I really don't have a lot of control over, which I understand. But at the same time, you want your kid to be able to have at least a chance to live in the same area, because then you could see them grow up to become adults. And here, it's probably not going to happen. Growing up in Hawaii, you also have this disconnect with the rest of the world because we're so isolated. I don't know if a lot of Hawaii people will admit that, but we kind of have our own world. We kind of have our own thing going here, and a lot of people, not all, but a lot of people don't really pay attention to anything outside of Hawaii unless it's maybe sports or maybe entertainment news. But in terms of US events or world events, we tend not to worry about that kind of stuff here in general, because all we care about is Hawaii. And that's okay, but it's also at the same time pretty dangerous. And I would want to make sure that our kid is aware that there's a bigger world outside of our little fishbowl here in the Pacific, that there's other peoples and places and cultures. Hawaii is not the only place to live. There's things going on that are important, that people are kind of engaged with. And if you grow up here and you live here too long, sometimes you forget that. And that's one thing that I think is a huge disadvantage. And so I want to make sure that again, with limited opportunity, I would want our kids to be able to go out into the world, experience some of it on the mainland, kind of like how I did. I was able to go for about 9 years, and then kind of just see what the rest of the world is like. And then you can always come back. You know, Hawaii's not going to go anywhere. We're going to be here, so go experience some of that stuff, and then you can come back and tell us all about it, and use those experiences to hopefully make this place a little bit better. So those are my thoughts going into parenting and becoming a father, especially here locally. I'm sure that there's tons of aunties and uncles and grandmas and grandpas that can give me advice on raising a kid, but those are the things that I'm thinking about now, and why I think it's good, and also why it's going to be a struggle to raise a child here in Hawaii. Again, this list may change as I grow into becoming a father, a better father, over time, but as of right now, this is what I'm sort of looking at. This is what I'm thinking about, and I just want to share that. So thanks for watching, and aloha.